Man, I wish I had a way to, like, explain the last couple minutes and everything, and, ugh. I had an order of questions now that we sort of, no, yeah, we're good. Now that we sort of, like, addressed those that people sent in, I had a question, but I had it was like I had an order, okay?
Okay.
And it was
All right.
very specific. But with what just took place, I will ask you this one now. Now, you saw that there was just some kind of technical snafus, right?
Yeah.
Son of a bitch, okay?
Right.
But you don't see that kind of stuff after it's edited. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You never usually see that. So people go to shows. They're having a good time. They expect to have a good time, but they probably don't know the things that have led up to that, to put it all together, and the things that go on in your head or behind the scenes during the show.
Okay.
So, like, make of that what you will. What's going on in your head? What do we not see on the back end?
Man, so every show is different, right? Like, first off, the big step is lining up a show that I would want to pay my asking price for, right? And that in of itself can be a chore. Dude, there's only so many bands in Richmond. I'm working on this one show right now for March, and I've asked all the homies, and everybody's already got shows. So I was like, oh shit, what am I gonna do? But I'll figure it out, right? But like, every show is different, and each one has different levels of stress. Usually leading up to it, I'm always nervous, always, right? Because like, man, my wheelhouse is mostly bringing bands that have never hit the market before, to Richmond. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, are people going to give a shit about these guys? Am I putting on a cool lineup? Like, are the locals going to be cool? Like, is this all going to work out? Like, I'm always super nervous up until the doors open. You know what I mean? Just because, dude, I toured for a bunch of years. I know what it's like to play in front of a dope out-of-town show and then a horrible out-of-town show that, like, you would tell all your friends about how bad it was.
So that kind of anxiety, does it ever subside at any point from
Yes.
this? Okay.
Absolutely. The second the show is starting to do good, right? So like most of my shows, doors are at 7, first band's at 8. Dude, if I see enough people in the room to kind of cover my end and make sure that bands are going to walk out with some money, that is one of the best feelings. It's like, okay, sweet, I could just hang out and have fun for the rest of the night. I don't got to worry about it. And then, dude, once the show is happening and people are having a good time, that's where the payoff is, bro.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm big into community. I think everybody needs a place to go and have a good time and hang out with like-minded individuals and get away from the crazy bullshit that's going on in this world right now for a couple hours. That's super important. I think more important than ever, right? And that's usually my payoff at the end of the night is when everybody comes out, they look like they're having a great time. They're moshing, they're dancing, they're buying drinks, they're hanging out with their friends, they're leaving with smiles. Like that's the best feeling. That's what keeps me doing it.
So, I mean, have there ever been any shows where you were not able to, like, achieve that, like, psychologically, where maybe you were just kind of, like, nervous the entire time, or something's going on back there?
Yeah. Well, it's all depends on the type of show. I told you that show, we talked about it a little earlier, that one band that had the huge following and nobody came out.
Yeah.
That was terrible, right? That was one of those things where I woke up the next morning like, man, why am I doing this to myself, right? At that point, I was still new. I was only 6 months in and still trying to figure out my path. And it was rough. Like, it was rough. It was definitely not motivating. You know what I mean? So it's like that sometimes. But the more you do it, and again, even with the band guys, if you're in a band, it's like you're always going to have a rough one. You know what I'm saying? Luckily, we've been having less of those this year, and like even the shows that don't do super good are always fun because it's always friends, people hanging out, and again, at the end of the day, that's what it's about, bro.
And so are there different types of? I mean, I know there's different types of promoters. Those that only do hardcore shows, only those that like do metal shows and everything.
Yeah.
But like you kind of said, like you used the word lane before. But are there certain promoters in the region? Like, okay, you know what? We'll just talk about like the backyard here, right? There's you, there's Scum City, there's Prime and everything. Does each promoter kind of have like, okay, so let's say like I Hate Gods. Well, no, they're kind of a big example. Let's say somebody like Weed Eater or something.
But yeah,
like
no,
that.
that's valid though, and
You know what I
I
mean?
think a lot of promoters do kind of pick that specific genre that they really like. Because I mean, dude, if you're booking shows, it's probably because you like going to shows. And you like music. You know what I mean? So you're gonna book the bands that you like. you talk about Travis. Travis books a ton of death metal and punk shit. Scum City is popping. I love what Travis has done in the last year, especially the fact that he's branched out of Richmond and is booking shows out of town. Big shouts, Travis. I love that dude. But yeah, he does that. There's like Love Tiger Connection in Richmond that does a lot of like post punk and pop punk kind of stuff. Crystal Plumage, who does a lot of like really crusty hardcore and death metal. So yeah, I mean, it's easier to book shows that you would want to go to. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, I kind of have not to be that guy, whatever, but like I like to think that I have a wide range of musical tastes.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like one day I'll be listening to Dying Fetus, and the next day I'll be listening to the Chemical Brothers. Next day I'll be listening to We Were Promised Jetpacks, which are,
I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Which band?
We Were Promised Jetpacks.
Love that band.
Wow.
So good. So good. I saw their first U.S. tour, bro.
Oh, wow.
Love that band. But yeah, so, I just, when I say I stay in my lane, I find that the types of genres that I like. You know what I mean? Okay. Like, I like booking death metal shows. I like booking sludge shows, punk rock, hardcore, especially hardcore, but like metalcore and even like shoegaze, man. It's like I like all those genres, and there's enough really talented bands in Richmond and the surrounding area that it makes it kind of easy. And like, at least for me, like spreading it out lets me lets me open up more opportunities for more bands and to keep the variety there, which I at least for me is kind of important, man.
Okay, yeah. And I mean, you definitely like walk that walk, because I remember the first, and actually only show that I've gone to that you put on was Drive By. So kind of like thrashy grind, like primarily grind, Get Off,
right?
Like hardcore. And then who else played that show?
Was it Piffed?
Yeah, Piffed.
Which is Waffle and Weber and my boy Travis, who's now in the Get Off, and Heavy is the Head, and a bunch of other bands. And this band Paradiso, who's also very awesome. I have them. I don't know if this show is going to come out by the time that happens, but I have them on. I guess next Thursday, January 22nd, I have them open up for Anti-Sapien, who's actually Blake. He's a Boston dude.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Where is that show at?
Banditos.
Oh.
Dude, everything I do is at Banditos, man.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I love that club, dude. My first year, I bounced around all over town. And then that new dude, Nathan, took the place over last October. And he's really made my life so much easier. He's made all the promoters in town's lives so much easier. He's done crazy improvements to the room. So it's like, again, if I'm booking bands that have never hit the market before, 120 cap venue, perfect.
Really?
Yeah, it's perfect. Because, like, dude, if 50 people come out, it looks packed. The bands are still having a good time. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I think that's kind of important,
And I think that Paradiso is a great example, because that might have been one of their first shows, like the show.
They were still pretty new.
Yes. Yeah. But they've grown, grown well since then.
Yeah.
I was amazed, like, when they came out, and I was like, all right, they're definitely very young, but holy hell, could
sound
they
like
play.
Acid Bath, dude.
Yeah. and that drummer too, that drummer was just insane. I mean, it's just such a testament to like the if you're young, if you have passion for music and your instrument, you can really dazzle,
Dude, you know what blows my mind? These young kids, like I said, I'm going to be 40 in February, dude. I've been playing in fucking rock bands since I was 15, I'm seeing some of these bands that are coming out that are playing riffs that I grew up with, and they weren't even alive when those bands were out, dude. And it's sick. The new wave of talent coming out of Richmond and DC and like Western Virginia and Eastern Virginia, incredible, bro. The future is strong in Virginia hardcore and punk rock and metal.
That's so great to know. And I had no idea that was on the horizon, like when I moved down here and everything. Because again, I didn't know the scene. I only knew local to me to Virginia was like municipal waste and everything.
Right.
And Guar, like that type of thing. But I had no idea that the scene was so like thriving.
Dude, it's deep.
And I'm hearing things about like Lynchburg's got a really good scene too.
They got this place out there called Super Rad Arcade.
I've heard that name,
I haven't been out there yet, but I've got a bunch of friends that have played out there, and everybody says it's like where you got to be out there.
It's like an actual arcade, I think, right?
Yeah, I heard it's like free games. You go out there, like you pay for the ticket, you play games all night and hang out and watch bands. Like, it's so sick.
That's so cool. There's there's a big show coming through there again soon. That might be the I Hate God show. Yeah, actually,
I Hate God and Crowbar.
Yeah.
Dude, whoever's booking shows out there, good for them. They brought Agnostic Front out there recently.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, they've been booking some big shows out there, man. And dude, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, Dude, as like touring band, like, you look for different markets, and like what irritates me about Richmond is a lot of people view Richmond as a B market, and that's bullshit, right? I mean, you look at these big national tours and they go from DC down to Raleigh or Charlotte, right?
Right,
They
yeah.
skip Virginia entirely, which I think is bullshit. Richmond slaps. I've been here for 7 years now. And I'm not trying to sound like a Richmond veteran, because I'm not. But even just the time that I've been in the city, I've watched it grow exponentially. Like, there's so many more people coming out to the Canal Club and the National and Broadberry and even my gigs. So, like I said, man, the future is there, and more big bands need to be coming to Richmond.
I have noticed that, yeah, some big tours seem to have skipped over Richmond, and it
Frustrates me, dude.
yeah, and like when you see some of the venues, like I mean, Canal Club is a cool venue.
Yeah.
To me, it reminds me of being in a friend's basement in the 80s, and
It's
it's
a
like,
big basement, dude.
yeah, right. But it's got those like wooden pillars and like
Yeah.
walls and stuff.
Yeah,
and,
for
like,
sure.
Broadberry, I think, is kind of similar, where it's also got those like those kind of pillar things, or I just remember trying to like watch Municipal Waste, and like there was like just this big like
yeah,
yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
Halfway back, yeah.
Yes, but it's a cool venue though.
Mhm.
It's a really cool venue. So yeah, it makes you wonder. It's kind of like why are some of these bands skipping over Richmond when the venues themselves are really comfy, and the staff at some of these places
I know.
are top notch.
Yeah, I know. I think cities always have the genres that they prefer, right? But I don't think that stays forever. You know what I'm saying? And I think that as the city is growing, more people are branching out to other styles of metal. You know what I mean? Like, I heard before I came down here that like metalcore, deathcore shows didn't really do that good, but every time I see a band like that out in Canal Club, it's packed.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
Tuesday night it'll be fucking packed. So,
Okay.
I think probably how some of these touring bands were looking at it a bunch of years ago, I don't think that's applicable anymore, man.
And like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but so I got on TikTok like within the last couple months and everything, and I was under the impression that, yeah, certain genres, metalcore, let's just say metalcore, were like dead, okay?
Yeah.
But like on TikTok, I have found, if it's legit, it seems to be like organic and legit and everything, a massive amount of like of metalcore scene, only like digitally, people that love It Dies Today,
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of going back, little ways and stuff.
So It Dies Today style metalcore is coming back in a big way. I was talking about some of these young kid bands that are playing riffs of the shit that I grew up seeing a lot of that.
That's what you
which
mean. Okay.
I think is dope.
Yeah,
You know what
so do
mean?
I,
Yeah,
so do
dude,
I.
I love seeing that style coming back. You know what I mean?
And like, I guess not metalcore, but it's like within the last year, yeah, Crowbar somehow blew up on TikTok, It's like the weirdest thing. But like also though, like that kind of 2011-y metalcore-y, like sceney type of stuff, like, oh shit.
The swoop hair.
Yes,
the
yeah,
crabcore.
that type of, right, yeah, that type of stuff. And like, I'm trying. There was one band that like, I'd never listened to them because to me it was kind of like that stuff just doesn't do anything for me,
Yeah, probably stink.
Say it again.
Probably stinks.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But like on TikTok though, there's tons of people that like love them, and name your pick, any of those, just like how you described it, that kind of like swoopy, seedy, 2011-y type
Everybody
stuff.
got synchronized stage moves.
Yeah, right. Very clean, very
please.
right.
No, please, I'll pass.
Yeah. Oh,
That Warped Tour core, dude.
Yes, yeah. See, this is funny to hear you say that stuff because I always looked at you as like a very much of like an open book in terms of like what you liked and everything.
I am for the most part, but there's definitely some corny shit out there, dude, that I won't fuck with.
Okay, yeah. And I guess I would agree that that where I start to lose interest is the 2012, 13-ish kind of stuff. But it's just it goes to show though that like there are still pockets of the world, of the country that love, fucking industrial or something like that. Oh, who's coming on? Actually, thanks to you, solely thanks to you, Wordlos is coming on.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that you had promoted them like, a bunch of times and everything.
Not me, bro.
Oh, wasn't you?
No, I know the band. They're cool. I've
Okay.
never booked them.
I think I just
I'm
anytime.
not trying to throw you under the bus like that.
No, that's okay. That's okay. No, that's okay. But like, anytime I see you having anything to do with like a certain band, like, oh, okay, so like I got to check them out though, because like
Oh, cool.
Bobby knows them.
that I appreciate, man. Thank you.
Yes,
Hell yeah.
no question. And I've never really been big into a lot of industrial, like a little bit, but I was like, oh, let me check out Wordless, and I loved them.
Have you checked out Prisoner?
No, I don't think so. Prisoner.
You need to check out Prisoner, dude.
Really?
Very serious Richmond band. Yeah, fucking sick.
They're like industrial?
Yeah,
Oh,
industrial,
okay.
but hardcore at the
Okay.
same time. Kind of, dude, super good.
Well, what's the band that the two guys from like Hard Lore? One of them's in Big Band. You know who I'm talking about. Colin from the Hard Lore, that like podcast online. It's owned by like Knotfest now, or it was. One of them I think was In No Warning. The word "die" is in the band. Oh, it's just like
I'm spacing on it, dude.
so they played Milwaukee Metal Fest last year. They're kind of like an industrial, like hardcore type thing. As soon
Harm's
as
Way?
Yeah, Harm's Way. That's it. Harm's Way.
There we go.
Yeah, Harm's Way. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
I don't know,
yeah.
is that kind of like, hardcore industrial sort of like?
Dude, I'm sure there's some pockets of that. I don't see it too much, you know what I mean? But I think it's a cool mix of styles. And I'm also of the mindset that music is like cyclical, right? Like what falls out of style finds a way to come back in as a new generation of people discovers those bands from 10, 15 years ago. You know what I mean? And especially nowadays with Spotify and Apple Music, where it's all these curated playlists, like all these younger kids are discovering these bands that existed 20 years ago, and they're like, oh, this slaps. I want to do this. You know what I mean? And it comes right back. Like
The thing that I will never be able to figure out how it revived itself, or someone revived it, or whatever. I wonder if you'll know where I'm going with this. There's a genre that seems to be like it's gotten re-popular again within the last like 5 or so years.
I'm scared.
Well, yeah. and to make matters worse, bands that play styles I would never think would like this stuff. Like if people that have sat in these couches, be like, oh yeah, new metal. I know, right?
New metal can be fun. I'm picky and choosy with my new metal, right? Like Slipknot, yeah. Early Korn, yeah. Soulfly, late Sepultura. Those bands are awesome. Okay. I think once you start getting into like the 3rd and 4th generation bands, like you're starting to talk about like Crossbreed and non-points, like that's where you start to lose me, bro.
Yeah. Primer 55.
Yeah, I saw Primer 55 when I was like 15. Yeah, dude.
Oh, wow.
I saw them open up for Fear Factory.
Oh, okay,
Fear Factory. Okay. So you want to talk new metal? Fear Factory is one of my favorite bands ever.
Yeah. I like Fear Factory.
Dude, like I heard that album Obsolete when I was like 12 or 13.
Okay.
And I didn't even know music sounded like that when I heard that record. Yeah, I fucking love that band. But they definitely used to tour with some really cheesy.
Yeah, right.
Like
yeah.
I've seen bands like the Union Underground.
Oh yeah, I remember the name. Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, they were a new metal band.
Very new metal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
very new metal.
I'm trying to remember. There's one called like Slaves on Dope or something.
Yeah, I remember that Slaves on Dope. I saw that band too, man.
Did you really?
Yeah, there's a dude. So when you're like 15, new metal was cool as shit because that's like everybody's gateway into that. But I can't do new metal anymore, man.
There was shit.
I do think it's funny that a lot of those bands are starting to come back,
right,
and do these like reunion shows and are playing in front of a room of like 45-year-old dudes, right? Who, back in the day, like, bro, I remember seeing them back in the day. I threw ninja kicks at people. I did a bunch of acid. It was crazy, and it's like now I'm 40. I got a wife and kids, and gonna be home by 9.
Yeah. I can picture some of those people very clearly in my head.
Oh, we all can, dude.
Yeah. Do you think some of those bands that got labeled new metal weren't actually new metal?
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, perfect example, Deftones.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So Deftones, you look at them like Around the Fur, Adrenaline, those were, people called them new metal. I actually read a crazy interview with their drummer talking about White Pony and how they wrote White Pony. White Pony has become this quintessential album from the late 90s, early 2000s. Another one of my favorites all time, right?
Okay.
And they specifically were talking about how they didn't want to be lumped into nu metal and were actively turning down tours with Korn and Slipknot because they didn't want to be a nu metal band.
Oh, okay.
And obviously it worked for them. Deftones is still killing it, while bands like Flar, you know, playing in front of 100 cap venues in front of 12 people, right? So it worked out for the Deftones.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I think some of those bands probably got lumped into the nu metal genre without actually being nu metal.
Okay, yeah, because one of the, I don't want to jinx it, but I mean, I'll tell you off camera, but like one of the bands that you listed, we're talking about one of the members coming in because they're going on tour in March.
Okay.
And the tour starts like locally, right? It's like
okay.
It's like big tour.
Yeah.
And one of the people from those bands, we've just like become friends and everything. I was like, hey, like, when you come into Richmond and stuff, do you want to come by? And he's like, yeah, if I can make it work, and it would be awesome. But this is one of those bands that I was like, I don't think they sound like, you know, Slipknot or like anything like that, you know?
Yeah.
Again, like I'll tell you off camera and stuff like that, but I was just like, I'm just thinking like if he sees this and then he's gonna like hear, like he'll hear like some of the bands we're talking about, thinking like, well, fuck that kid. I'm not. You know what I mean?
No, please no. No, but for the record, Soulfly was awesome.
Oh,
I love Soulfly.
He just...
But Sepultura, like, well, I mentioned Soulfly earlier, and I just, you know what I mean? Like, those bands were always cool. Like, just like any other style of music.
That was the one I was talking about.
No way.
I swear to God. I'm going to do some surgical work on, like, you know, the editing and stuff.
You drop like a little beep in there, dude.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Excellent.
But I mean, those bands were always killer as far as I was concerned, right? Because I mean, you look at any genre, there's always going to be the cream of the crop, and there's always going to be a bunch of bands trying to copy that. You know what I mean? Right. And the bands that are innovative, even if it's a genre that you don't like, you could at least appreciate the innovation, while there's a bunch of copycats who you could do without. Somebody, you know, or I could do without, you know?
Somebody just said that today, and I think it was on TikTok. They said something about like, say what you want about nu metal, but it was very like inventive. And I never thought of it that way, because nu metal, when it came around, like, this is probably worse than actually like liking it, right?
Okay.
Pretending to like it, all right? Yeah, pretending to like it. Because like I was telling, maybe it was the Poopa Goddess people. I was like, yeah, it was not cool in junior high to like what I liked, which is like Kiss and Iron Maiden. It's like, it was not cool, you know? It was cool to like Limp Bizkit and Korn and everything. I just couldn't something about it was just, it felt so like, I was like, why would you listen to that when you could listen to, you know, Ace Frehley ripping a solo?
Listen to something good.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. You know, I always felt like, you know, such a phony back then. But it's like, who doesn't experiment when they're younger with like styles? Who doesn't want to like fit in there, you know?
Oh, I know. Dude, I'll be honest with you, man. When I was like 16, I was very much into just like, all right, I like 3 types of metal. That's it. Like, I need breakdowns, I need death metal riffs, and I need like Korn nu metal riffs, you know what I mean? And like, I did not differentiate from that, dude, until I was probably like, I mean, I saw like some hip hop and some other stuff. Like, I really started branching out to like my mid-20s, man. Like, dude, like I said, I've been in a bunch of bands over the years. I didn't start growing in that facet until I started playing with other people outside of my wheelhouse, jamming out with more people. And like, people are like, oh, dude, so you like this? You should check this out. And all of a sudden my mind is open and I find myself listening to George Clinton. You know what I mean?
Isn't it weird when you find out certain people like other bands that you'd never expect them to?
Yeah.
I went to Kanai. It wasn't their set, but it was Kanai and like a bunch of other, you know, dangerous Boston hardcore bands and everything. And the guitarist had a Ministry shirt on.
Sweet.
Yeah, and I remember thinking at the time, I was like, wait a minute, you're not supposed to like Ministry. Like, you're supposed to like beat up people. That's what they're like Ministry, you know? And I thought too in my head, I was like, wait, is he joking? Is he like making, but no, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Real musicians like shit other than what they play.
Okay.
At the end of the day. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, everybody I've jammed with, like, yeah, maybe like me, dude, I do a lot of, I don't know, this new band Coded I'm in is like
right.
caveman shit. My last band, Bend the Knee, was Dillinger Escape playing math riffs, right? So I like playing that music, but that's not all the stuff that I like. And most musicians I know are the same way, dude. You know what I mean? How are you going to do something different if you're just listening to the same shit?
Sure, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, you mentioned Coded then. Coded is I've only seen like the pictures. I haven't heard you guys yet.
Brand
but
new.
Like,
Brand
okay.
new.
You haven't
Yeah.
recorded anything yet?
We're actually going into the studio the end of this month.
Oh, okay,
Drop
okay.
5-song EP. Yeah, with our buddy from Cicada Studios.
Okay.
So like that band is me, Palmer he was a drummer of 333.
Did I meet him recently?
Yeah, he was at the Banana Slamming
Yes.
show. He was a dude with the beard.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that describes like half the people at a metal show, but yeah, he was hanging out with us, you know what I mean?
Didn't people from 333 go on to play in Vigil as well?
Yeah,
Okay,
so
okay.
it's Taylor and Hayden.
Okay.
They're also from 333.
Okay.
Yeah. And then it's Gary from this band, the Donalds, that used to be around, and the Donalds split up into a bunch of different people. Dakota that plays he's the drummer for Lacking,
right? Yeah.
And the Get Off, he was in the Donalds. And then Danny is the other guitarist, and he was in Genosha with me, which was the first band I joined when I moved down here.
Okay.
So it's a bunch of homies. We're just doing caveman shit, bro.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun, man. Yeah, we got a couple shows coming up. But yeah, I mean, dude, even that band is way different from the last couple bands I was in down here. It's because you got to listen to different shit in order to be good at playing an instrument, as far as I'm concerned. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess so. And I feel like that realization wasn't one that like was used up until the last, like, say, maybe 15 or so years. Because do you remember in like the early 2000s and stuff was like kind of like what I was describing with the guy from Kanai. It was very much a surprise to see him acknowledging anything else other than hardcore. And it's kind of like, I mean, could you imagine some of your close friends from the scene back then if you were to say like, I don't know, like Jets to Brazil or something?
We'd make fun of you. Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah, we'd make fun of you.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I think it goes back to like how easy it is to access music nowadays, and how so many of these bands cross genres that I feel like it doesn't matter anymore, dude. Like, there's one thing that really annoys me about heavy music is the minute subgenre breaking down of all these different bands. Like, oh, you know, that's not really grindcore.
Oh,
this is
Mints.
90s new level first grind bukkake core. Like, what the fuck does that even mean, man? You know what I'm saying? Dude, if it's heavy, it's cool, right?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of those, you know, outside of like and no offense to anybody, but outside of like the hardcore nerds, like the super music nerds,
Yeah, right.
that need to classify everything into a million subgenres, I think those walls are gone.
Yeah, so
You know
do
what I'm
I.
saying? You listen to a lot of these bands nowadays, they're coming out, they're bringing a bunch of different influences from a bunch of different bands from different styles,
Mhm.
and that's what's making them who they are now.
Uh-huh.
So I think that whole mentality has changed, and I think that's for the better. You know what I mean?
Okay, I completely agree, and I feel grateful for that. Let me ask you this. I have observed a scene in the last 2 or so years that has been much nicer and just better than what it was 20, 25 years ago. And I don't know if that's also your experience as well, that people are just better, nicer in the hardcore scene than years ago.
I don't know. I don't know if it's because I've gotten older and mellowed out,
Okay.
or that's really true, but it's probably a little bit of both. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, though I think a lot of these newer kids are not as much about throwing inanimate objects at their friends as probably people our age going to hardcore shows when they were 20.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I think that's changed quite a bit. You know what I mean? There's a lot more talk of... I would say that there's probably more of a respect of venues getting shut down, so people are more well-behaved. They're more appreciative of the spots that they have.
Okay.
Because you don't know how much you're going to miss a venue until it doesn't exist anymore because somebody got their orbital socket broken and sued the club out of existence.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if y'all dealt with that up in Massachusetts, New York, Long Island. We lost so many clubs because people were goons. You know what I mean? And again, as being a dude that played in hardcore bands, I loved the goon shit, but
Right.
it always sucked when we lost a venue.
Yeah.
Because people were just wild. You know what I mean?
Oh God, I watched. There was a venue in Concord, New Hampshire that was always really accommodating to like many bands, right? And you know, God bless the owner because he took like a lot of shit from you know, a lot of abuse, a lot of just all kinds of, you know, he put up with way more than he should have. So he decided at one point, he's like, I want to expand, right? And so he opens a club in Nashua.
Okay.
And Do I want to say the name? Fuck it. Cafe Eclipse, right? From Concord, okay? Cafe Eclipse is pretty awesome.
Okay.
Like, saw One King down there.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, good time,
Yeah.
good time. I'm pretty sure Candiria played there, too, at one point.
Nice.
But then he opened this place in Nashua, and he had Diecast, Kanai, and a few other bands that had no business playing there. Okay, they should not have been there. And, 20 minutes into... I don't even think Diecast got to play that night, but FSU showed up and it's over, It was like, can I play? It might have been during Kanai's set, but, guy had to pull a plug. He's like, I'm used to kids like moshing here and everything. That's fine, but these aren't kids. These are animals and stuff,
Dude, I get that, man. And I feel like I said, man, that mentality isn't there with this new wave of kids coming up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They probably are a little bit nicer. I mean, that's just the world we're in right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I think it's probably for the better.
I do too.
Yeah, I think it's for the better. I had one incident where we had the cops called on us because this girl got her tooth chipped, and back in the day that would have been a mess, and instead it got resolved peacefully.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, after the police got called, but it still got resolved. You know what I mean? Everything was cool, and I feel like back in the day when I was growing up, that would have been a shit show, dude. Yeah, it would have been problems everywhere. Venue would have got shut down.
Not to mention the retaliation and everything, you know what I mean?
Bruh.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, I think there's definitely some truth to that, for sure.
I do. It just, I think about the years that, like, I spent coming up, and, it was what you hear during the legends. It was like, there was, you got to prove yourself, and I get that to a degree, and then there's a kind of, like, breaking in period, and then, there's a famous band, all right? There's a famous band. There's, again, another one that, like, I would not want to say this on camera, though, okay? Because this is one of those bands that, like, you really don't, talk shit.
Yeah,
You don't say anything about, okay? Because it'll come. I mean, I live here now and stuff.
and you're still worried about blowbacks.
Yes, yeah. But there was a band that was, like, guilty of, when they were younger, of doing some, like, not bad stuff, but just, like, not cool stuff. And not cool as in, like, it, could get him in trouble or something like that, but embarrassing stuff, right? Just, like, not cool at all, okay? They went on to become, like, pretty damn big and pretty damn respected. Very respected, okay? But they had to go through. They had to, like, earn their stripes. They had to kind of, like, literally fight their way up and everything. But so, like, that, I think, is one of the differences that I see today, is that it doesn't seem to be a whole lot of buffer period, whatever you want to call it. People are just, they're more accepting today.
Less gatekeeping.
Okay.
Which I think is awesome.
So do I.
Less gatekeeping. I mean, I'm a firm believer that there needs to be 5% gatekeeping, right? Because you want to keep the chuds out of the scene. You want to keep the predators. You want to keep the people who show up to a hardcore show, don't know what it's about, get kicked in the head, and then sue the venue out of existence, right? We want to keep those people out. But everybody else, we want to come to shows, right? The more people at shows, the better time everybody's going to have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was never really about gatekeeping, man. I think hardcore and metal is a thing for everybody. You know what I mean? I think that's really important because, I mean, dude, just when I was a kid, man, this is something I've been doing more than half my life. And it's always been an important thing. Like, dude, I have a square-ass day job nowadays, right? Corporate. And I still play in punk bands. I still do hardcore shows because this is something that's always been there.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm of the mindset that people should have that.
Yeah,
and if you want to come into a hardcore show, you want to get into the metal scene, you want to come out and see bands and support, do it.
And I love when you can, maybe this is me being a little bit judgmental and everything, but I love when you can kind of notice people that are at a show that the scene is made for. Maybe they're not totally refined with, say, like, what they're wearing or how they're acting at a show, but they are there and they feel comfortable. They feel welcomed and they feel like loved, even if they don't know that many people in the crowd and stuff like that. Man, there was somebody at that Banana Slammer show the other night that I noticed. I was like, damn, they don't really seem to have a ton of pit etiquette, but I know that person is in heaven right now,
Dude, and that's one of my favorite things of booking shows is having, Richmond is skews young. Like, it's college town. So having kids that are coming out to a rival show and it's their first metal show.
Wow.
And they come up and they talk about what a sick time they had, and then you see them back with 4 of their friends. Like, dude, that is a sick feeling. Because again, you're showing the new generation, at least I hope to be showing the new generation what I feel is the right way to do things.
So that's
to
one of
keep
the
the community
rewards
going.
That's one of the rewards for you.
Yeah, absolutely,
okay.
man. Yeah, I mean, it's you know, I was fortunate when I came up to have a couple dudes that were older than me. They looked out for the bands I was in. If we were doing dumb shit, they'd pull you aside and be like, "Stop doing dumb shit." You know what I'm saying? That's important because that's how you have organic growth in the scene, and it grows in a healthy way.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It is having that advice, that mentorship, the people to show you how to do shit. You know, what works, what doesn't work, right? And that's important. And it's cool to see the new wave of kids coming out, experiencing shows for the first time. And because, you know, if they're going to have a sick time, they're coming back.
Yeah, right,
And
right.
they're going to listen to more bands. They're going to check out more bands. They're going to go to more clubs. They're going to support more promoters. And I'm of the mindset, high tides raise all ships. So that's what everybody needs to be doing, is get those ships raised.
Okay,
You know what I'm saying?
okay. You brought up something about like people kind of taking you, veterans, whatever you want to call them, kind of taking you aside, maybe course correcting like a little bit and stuff.
Yeah.
Did you ever have any experiences when you were younger where somebody who was like, you know, respected, right? Maybe somebody in a crew or something like that. You maybe had like a brush with them either in the pit or on the street or whatever, but it was like you know, they did something to make you feel cool or whatever. And it's like, oh my God, I just got like a daps from like, you know, whoever, and that person's in, I don't name any crews, something like that, but it's the coolest feeling ever, you know?
Dude, I always felt that way about playing for a band that I really respected.
Oh, okay.
Like opening up for a band that I really respected. Like, dude, one time, one of my bands, I got to open up for Vision of Disorder.
Oh!
As a Long Island guy, that is another one of my favorite bands. They were from my neck of the woods. They were like I grew up in Long Beach, right? And they were all from Long Beach and Oceanside. And those were the dudes. All my friends' older brothers swore by VOD. They would play locally. And then in 2012, I got to open up for them. I played, it was like Incendiary and This Is Hell.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy show. And like, dude, Matt, the guitarist, like came up to me afterwards, like, yo, you guys were fucking sick. I'm like,
Wow.
you're in VOD, dude.
Yeah.
Like, stop, man. Stop, man. Like,
I swear.
yeah, that is a sick feeling. You know what I'm saying? I love that shit.
I almost, I swear on these rosary beads around my neck, I almost wore my VOD shirt in today because it's too cold out there. I'm like, I bet Bobby would appreciate this.
I absolutely would have.
Oh, that's so funny. That's so funny.
I mean, like, dude, getting to one of the coolest things of being in a band, I always thought, was to support the bands that I grew up loving, right? So I was fortunate. I got to play with like Disembodied, VOD, For the Love of, Candiria, Everybody Gets Hurt, like all those bands. Irate. Well, I didn't get to play with Irate, but got to do some cool shit with Phil back in the day. You know what I mean? And that was always the juice, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh shit, like I fuck with these dudes. I respect them, and it's cool that they're showing us some love. Like, top 5 band feeling. You know what I'm saying? Easily. So yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, dude. Like, that's a dope feeling.
This is like only semi-related, but like, okay, so you brought up that Irate story before, right? Which was like really, really like, that was a big thing to you, right?
Yeah.
And like, I wish that I had some sort of like a, I don't know, fly on the wall or something like that. Cause I've heard really cool stories like that during moments of extremely heightened like anxiety. What we just saw here like a little while ago. Okay. I don't know if it's going to make it onto the camera and everything, but like there's this thing that happens where you're trying to play it cool when like shit goes south with like gear, whatever, like you're trying to play it cool. Okay. Your head's like not here. It's like elsewhere. Okay. But you hear these really cool stories, all right, like that, okay, like, so I would love to like actually hear that when I'm like, I don't know, sober, okay, I don't mean that in the way of like, you know, messed up or anything like that, but just sober of like sound mind and everything, you know, but like I feel like the crowd would love to hear that, you know, so just, can you tell that story?
What, the Irate one?
Yeah, with Phil and...
Oh, yeah, okay, so when I was a kid, Irate was influential, right, influential ass band. Going to see them back in the day was a terrifying experience. And then, you know, after they broke up, like Phil wound up being in this band, the Judas Syndrome, who was super cool. And my band, Doomsday Morning, got to play with them a whole bunch. And so we got an opportunity to open up for Marauder and Lionheart. and we brought Phil out to do Transcendence with us. And it was one of those moments where, like, if you told 18-year-old me that I was going to do a cover song, like an irate song with Phil from Irate, I'd be like, you shut the fuck up. Like, you're lying. Stop it. You know what I mean? But that shit happened, dude. That dope feeling. Incredible. You know what I'm saying? I had another experience. You want to talk about shit going bad? I opened up for Disembodied one time, and they're another one of my favorite bands.
What year would that have been?
Yeah, so it was on their reunion run back, so kind of like 2010.
Oh, okay.
And we're playing to this place called EMH. EMH was Ethical Humanist Society up in Garden City, New York. And man, I am stoked to be opening up for Disembodied.
Yeah.
Right. Our guitarist, his amp blows like 3 songs into the set, and my man just shut down. Like, started packing up his shit. Our second guitarist, who's like his second show ever, knew one song that he was comfortable to play, so he played the one other song and packed up and bounced. But it was cool. We still got to talk to them. That dude Aaron was living up in Middletown, New York. So he used to come out to this place, a Sound Asylum, that we used to play all the time. So he wound up coming out and seeing us. We ripped it. We wound up talking. They actually almost took us out on tour, and then they broke up again.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
but I mean, it was, dude, shit happens, right? You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
It's like, I look back now, we laugh on it, but like that moment was like,
that's enormous.
dude, it's horrible.
That reminds me of my buddy Dave from back. Remember Since the Flood?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great band.
Yeah,
Dave
right.
Johnson sung for them for a while.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Dave, who was one of the first people from my town to like really love Unearth. He was a really big Unearth fan, and like just like not I guess befriended them and stuff. And like at one point, I think it was like who played guitar? Was it Buzz or
Ken Susie?
Yeah. Would Ken Susie play guitar?
Yeah.
Okay, I think what it was like he had.
They had 2 guitars though. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Ken could not make one of the tours or something. So they're like, well, we know this kid, Dave. He's a really good guitarist. It's like, well, let's ask him if he wants to play. And like, back then when you're like, 16, 17 or however old we were, that was like, holy shit.
Yeah,
are you kidding me?
Dude, you're going on tour with this sick band. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, it was like, it was, I mean, I can't imagine what it must have felt like for him, but like everybody else, like every one of us, like, holy shit, Dave's like, he's going to be kind of in Unearth and everything, And like,
just for a little bit, he's going to be in Unearth.
Yeah.
It's sick, dude.
but it goes to show also like the if you want to call it the magic of hardcore. I think about the band from Maryland, those kids, World of Chaos.
Okay,
right. He's always up there with like shit singing like for DRI. He's doing guest vocals with DRI. Christ, there's a bunch of other big bands that he's done guest vocals for. I think Poison the Well hasn't hit the road yet, has it? No. Okay. There's another kind of like metalcore-y like type band and stuff. Oh, I think he sang with like Aaron from Bane a couple of times.
That's sick.
They
were just around. They did that run with Hot Water Music.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay. It must have been that tour. A few other like big bands and stuff. But it's like those are getting in touch with those bands and making a connection such that you find yourself on stage with them, and not just like, doing a pile-on or something like that, singing in the mic. No, you're actually given the mic to do like guest vocals. You can't do that with like big metal bands and stuff, That's only hardcore.
That's why hardcore is the shit. Yeah, I mean, again, it's about that community feeling, man. You know what I'm saying? Everybody looks out for each other. Well, at least you hope so.
Yeah.
And dude, it's about that crowd participation. And dude, there's nothing like I fucking love hardcore music.
Yeah, it's just because everybody that's been in the scene for a long time, I think I'd like to hope, has had certain moments where they can say that those are really special. Like I'm thinking about, okay, I got the mic during I think it was like Lowest Common Denominator for Converge, right?
Okay.
Like at the Middle East in like '99 or something like that, right? It was like I got to like this time it's for like that.
Yeah.
That was like a really big moment. For me,
Hell yeah, dude.
And yeah, I was talking about like the Sworn Enemy set, where they dedicated a song to it and everything, like
right.
You just like it, that kind of stuff only exists in hardcore.
Yes, agreed.
I almost want to say that it's a little bit rare for stuff like that to take place in metal, like in death metal and black metal. It's like where else do you ever see like you just don't see that in any other genres,
I think hardcore is inherently fun. You know what I'm saying? It comes from that punk background, dude, from like back in the day. Yeah. So it's just, I think hardcore is inherently more of a good time, even if it is ninja kicks and throwing inanimate objects at people, but those people in that way are having fun doing that shit, right? You look at hardcore, it's about that crowd participation, it's about the sense of community, more so than I think a lot of other genres.
Yeah, yeah,
right.
yeah,
And that's what's kept it going for so long. And you look at hardcore. Hardcore isn't exactly like a realm where you're going to see a lot of bands doing a lot of different stuff. It's inherently kind of formulaic, but that's why we all fucking like hardcore.
Yes, right.
You know what I mean?
It's a sure bet, you know?
Yeah, it's a sure bet. You know it's gonna slap. You know there are gonna be mosh parts. You know there's gonna be sing along parts. You know you're gonna have a good ass time going out. And I think that's what keeps people. That's what pulls people, and that's what keeps people. Is that mindset that they can hop up on a mic and sing along, be a part of it for a second. You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy when you kind of like life gets in the way, right? You can't go to as many shows for a while, like you kind of back out of the scene, and then say you go back after a couple of years or something, whatever it is, and you see some of the same people. They look exactly the same. They haven't changed and everything, and it's like, damn, yeah, that right there is a testament to
Oh hell yeah, dude. I mean, I have friends that I know through the scene that I haven't seen in real life in 8 years. And we still talk all the time. And I'm closer to them than people I went to high school with, and some of my own family members, dude, because we were in the trenches, bro.
Yeah, right.
And like I feel like that's what keeps people coming back to that shit, dude. Yeah. That's why hardcore is still popping.
It has to be.
Yeah.
The other funny thing too is when I was at the show the other night, right? And there were a couple people in the pit that they were wild. Okay. I was like, every time they run to this side, like I'm going to back up a little bit, like they were wild. And it was, in my head, I was thinking like, they're not right. But afterward, though, they're totally normal.
Yeah.
You hear them talking to somebody else, or maybe you end up talking to them or something, and, they're talking like us right here and stuff, but get them in the pit, though, and it's, oh.
Yo, back in the day, I was a fucking animal of hardcore
I can't even
shows.
imagine.
Yeah, I'm a big boy. You know what I'm saying? Right. Yeah, I was a problem at shows back in the day. I've been thrown out of several clubs. You were talking about On Broken Wings earlier. I've been thrown out of at least 5 On Broken Wings shows on Long Island easily. I got thrown out of a show one time, and I snuck back in wearing a different hoodie and my buddy's hat. I snuck in through the back door and just came right back in and finished the set out. But then once you're done throwing fucking kicks at people, it's all love. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's dude, you're seeing your friends, the people you see at shows all the time, and you build these relationships with these people. It's the community, right? Yeah, it just goes right back to it, dude.
I was just gonna say, like, you really did a great job just there of actually bringing that all back, because you brought that up in the beginning and everything, and then you just really made sense of that and stuff, God damn. Well, Bobby, I mean, we kind of brought this to a place where I'm glad we got to, because I know this is very valuable info, aside just from the, how do we get on shows and stuff like that? Because I think it is good to have a guide. I mean, if you're a kid who has just taken notice of their local scene, I think it is good to have like a guide because, there is a bit of a preliminary kind of break-in period. I think it's far less today than it was, 100 years ago and everything, or even 20, 25 years ago and stuff. But that, I would have wanted that stuff back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, dude, it's the biggest challenge is to get a band off the ground and to write music and link up with other like-minded people who want to do the same kind of shit as you. But then the next hardest thing is like, all right, so what do we do now?
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, we got a band, we got songs. What do we do now? How do we get shows? Like, how do we do that? It's my job to, and other people that are in my age bracket to show the new bands how to do it.
Okay.
That's important. You know what I mean? Because it is super hard. Like, dude, if you've never been in the scene before, how are you going to know who to talk to? How are you going to know what questions to ask? How are you going to know to get your band off the ground? I said, it's one thing to put out a record. It's what do you do after that? Mm. You know what I'm saying? So it's dope that you were asking me these questions. I hope people took something away from it.
Oh, yeah. No, I do too. I have no doubt. Like, I have no doubt that they will and everything. You have a show coming up in March, I think, right?
Dude, I got a bunch of stuff. The big one I'm not going to say it's the big one, but I got a bunch of stuff that some of it I've sort of announced, some of it I haven't. I think this is coming out before the February 15th show.
There's a good chance this might come out a lot sooner than that.
Okay, so if it does, that'd be amazing. That's the one I'm really stoked on. So, I've been in Richmond for 2 years now. Dude, the Richmond scene has been so good to me, dude. Like, I'm a transplant, bro. I moved here from New York. I didn't know a fucking soul when I moved here. And, dude, Richmond's been dope. They've supported Rival and the bands I've been in. So I'm trying to give back. And Bandito's starting to let me do Sunday matinees over there, which is sweet. That's a thing of the past, bro. When was the last time you've seen a Sunday hardcore matinee? It's been fucking years, right? And back in the day when I was coming up, we had a place called Backstreet Blues that was about 15 minutes from my house. You could hop on the local bus if you didn't have a car. You could hop on the train to get out there if you didn't have a car. And they would just run punk and hardcore bands all day from 2 in the afternoon till 8 at night. Damn. And you get home in time for school if the show was on a Sunday the next day. I spent my youth there. You know what I'm saying? That shit was important. You were talking about Diecast. First time I saw Diecast was there. Yeah, I was like 15, dude. Sick, right? Dude, I saw bands like Avenged Sevenfold play there. It was a 140 cap room. I saw them open up for God Forbid and Bleeding Through. That's how long ago this was. And they play fucking stadiums. They open up for Metallica, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to bring the hardcore matinee back, dude. It's all locals. I got 6 bands for $10. First band at 2:00. I got to be wrapped by 6. So yeah, plenty of time for you to get home and get to work the next day or go to class the next day, whatever you got to do. 6 bands, $10. Sick. And all the net proceeds are going to Feed More, which is a great local charity that kind of helps out hunger in the area.
Oh, wow.
They do a ton. They take all that money. They're able to work out deals with places to get wholesale food, and they really spread it out there. It's a great charity, man.
Yeah.
So I think it's important for me to give back, and that's what I'm fucking doing, man.
How about that?
So if this pops off, I'm gonna try and do them every quarter. Which I think would be really cool. And again, just focus. Usually, like I said, I'm bringing bands in from out of town. I just want to do nothing but Richmond bands or Richmond adjacent. Bands from Virginia, and just keep it local and give back.
That's enormous. I mean? That is absolutely enormous. No bullshit. Not an ounce of bullshit there at all. That's huge.
I'm super stoked on that. But a couple other ones I got Cognitive coming down doing a one-off. That's March 6th at Bandito's. They're on their way out to do a tour with Obscura and Alluvial, I think. But they're Metal Blade Records. This is going to be a one-off show for them. I have Bore and Lost Becomes, both Long Island friends. They're coming back here the end of March. I got March 21st. I got Cross Keys, which is this great pop punk band featuring members of Ink and Dagger and Kid Dynamite.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which is going to be really cool. Yeah, that's got Dead Format. They haven't played in a while. They're Richmond local legends. And my buddy's band, Damien, his first show, Full Collapse. So he's got a new band going, and they're opening that show.
Damien from Lacking?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
he's in Full Collapse?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, it's more like 52 bands that dude is in.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Because I knew he was in Lacking, Get Off for a while, and then...
he was in Septic Vomit for a while. He was in Dead Format for a while. Yeah, dude.
Oh, shit.
I did I did a Hatebreed cover set with him for Punks of Presence this year.
Oh, that's awesome.
Fucking sick, dude.
Oh, that's so cool.
But yeah, so Rival, we got a ton of stuff coming up. If anybody out there saw me on this and you're looking for shows, hit me up. Let me know you saw me on Concrete Spew, and I'll do what I can to get you booked.
Oh, wow. How about that? That's a hell of
No promises, but I'll do what I can.
Yeah. Oh, that's a hell of a mission statement to have there and everything. God damn. I'm sure that the kids in the scene are really going to love that, and get a lot out of it. And yeah. Well, all right, Maniacs. Man, I haven't refined my ending yet, and maybe this is my ending because so far I've said that in just about every interview. I was like, well, okay, I'm sorry because I haven't really put together a good way to conclude things and stuff. But thank you so very much to Bobby from Rival Booking, and reach out to him. If you got further questions, I'm sure. I'll plug your Instagram.
Rival Booking _RVA. On Instagram. If you try and hit me up on Facebook, I'm probably going to ignore it. I just never look at that shit. It's just Instagram. I got my email on there. Just reach out. Like I said, I'm down to book whoever. Just want to grow the scene, baby. You know what it is.
Bobby, thank you so very much for coming in and fucking A,
Thanks for having me, bro. I appreciate you.
My hands all sweaty just from being
all good, dude.
Goddamn nervous.